Hello, friends. In this image, I would like you to focus on where there is a mountain and there are several enthusiastic people wanting to go on a pilgrimage. A pilgrimage is a journey that is intended to bring some kind of moral elevation to the people who undertake the journey. इस चित्र में हम देख रहे हैं एक दुष्कर से दिखने वाले पहाड़ पर बहुत सारे लोग जा रहे हैं एक तीर्थ यात्रा के लिए। संभवतः तीर्थ वह यात्रा होती है, तीर्थ यात्रा, जिसके परिणाम स्वरूप हमारा आध्यात्मिक और नैतिक उत्थान होता है, जिसको हम एंटरप्राइज भी बोल सकते हैं। सुबह की चौड़ी धूप है, बहुत सारे लोग चल रहे हैं। शाम हो गई, अब देखिए संख्या कम हो गई है और बहुत सारे लोग झुके हुए हैं। द इवनिंग हैज सेटल्ड ऑन देम, दे आर स्टूपिंग। द फ्लैग दैट मस्ट हैव बीन राइजिंग हाई, fluttering high in the air, is now in a stooped position. So, let us see, let us today discuss something that we can feel is a kind of beautiful journey, an enterprise. And this enterprise, we will try to make an assessment in the initiative of the college education department of the government of Rajasthan, and this initiative is fondly known far and wide as Gyando 2.0. The popularity of this program depends upon a beautiful fact that this was devised to bring help material to the students who were contained in their rooms due to the corona. But feeling that it was popular, and soon, just with the beginning of the project, did it harness several thousand minds. So we continue with it, and today, in this lecture, I will talk to you about a poem by an Indian poet by the name Nissim Ezekiel, and the poem is Enterprise. I am your friend Dr. Manju Sharma, and first I would like to talk to you about the topic, that is enterprise. An enterprise is something similar to an adventure, a, a collective pursuit by several people for the purpose of gaining something. So there are two things integral to the word enterprise. No adventure that is undertaken by a person can totally be called an enterprise, in a sense that while we are wanting this endeavor of ours to be called as an enterprise, we definitely need the help and assistance and togetherness of a group. So that is one. And second thing is, it should end in a kind of elevation. It should end in a kind of sense of fulfillment. So, is this adventure, is this enterprise that has been taken by a bunch of people, does it bring in the end a sense of fulfillment? And that is what we are going to study. Also, I would like to tell you that Nissim Ezekiel is a poet who chooses to talk about the mundane activities primarily appearing to be typical to Indians, but actually having a tremendous universal appeal. What he speaks about, the topics that he chooses to touch upon through his poems, are not the ones that are temporal, they are timeless, nor are they for a particular group of people, they are for the whole humanity. So there is a kind of universality. Even when Nissim Ezekiel seems to speak about some people in particular, but actually he is talking about the whole humanity in general. And what does the whole humanity do? The two images that I showed you in the beginning, humanity always seeks to have an upliftment in a gregarious manner, in a sense, in a way of moving with others. And they all aim at something that is majestic as a result. So, that given the introduction of this, I would like you to please look into the text and follow me. It started as a pilgrimage. What it? The enterprise. Right in the beginning, the poet is telling you about the enterprise. It started as a pilgrimage, exalting minds and making all the burdens light. So, how did it start? With people in an exalted state of mind. Everyone was very enthusiastic about it and making all the burdens light. It appeared that people were just moving without any kind of burden on their heads. Just as when we go on pilgrimage, it is believed that we must leave our burdens on God. God, the destination, who we are moving towards. So, the enterprise that these people undertook was with exalted minds and the burdens were light. The second stage explored but did not test the call. So, in the second stage, first, the idea of making the enterprise started in the mind. The minds were free and they were burden free. So the second stage, when it came, when they were actually chalking down the stage, they explored. They tried to chalk out where they are going to go and what they are going to do. But they did not test the call. Did not test the call. Call is from inside. We all, when we are wanting to do something, something inside tells us that this is going to be successful, this is not going to be successful. Or while we are going to do it, we must have this also as a resource with us. But in the second stage, no one tested the call. The sun beat down to match our rage. Beat down. Underline this. Beat down means merciless. The sun became merciless. So they started in the early morning and now it was noon. Just see. Hardly has the enterprise begun. Hardly has the journey begun. Then the sun is becoming adverse. Sun, the power in the skies. To match our rage. So we were full of rage. Now rage here doesn't mean the ordinary meaning. That is anger. Here rage means passion. So we were full of gusto and the sun was benevolent. So it was beating down upon us. From benevolence, it turned to a scary force. We stood it very well. To stand something, to they stood it. Now this verb is indicative of tolerance. It means tolerance. और हम बर्दाश्त कर रहे थे. We stood it. हमने बर्दाश्त किया. पर ये बर्दाश्त शब्द में अपने आप में लिखा हुआ है कि वो हमारे लिए क्रूर था, हमारे लिए उत्साहवर्धक नहीं था. We stood it very well. हमने बड़ा सामना किया हौसलों से. I thought, कितना छोटा एक्सप्रेशन. पोएट बोल रहे हैं मुझे लगा कि हम सामना कर रहे थे. Observed and put down copious notes on things the peasants sold and bought, the way of serpents and of goats, 3 cities where a sage had taught. So, when the sun had risen, what were they doing? The people on the enterprise, they observed things. अभी उनमें पूरा जोश है. तो they put down copious. Copious is too many. They took down many notes on things. What were they taking down notes on? Because they were going to an unseen place. So they took down notes about the peasants, the things which the villagers were selling and bought, and what we were buying. Then we also took note of the way of serpents and of goats. लोगों से भटक गए ध्यान, और कहाँ पर पहुँच गया? सांपों के ऊपर और बकरियों के ऊपर. इस पोयम को मेरा निवेदन है कि आपको ऐसे समझना होगा कि ये एक सिंबॉलिक पोएम है. व्हाट इज सिंबॉलिक? प्रतीकात्मक. यहाँ हर चीज़ प्रतीक है. सबसे पहले जब हम शुरुआत करते हैं तो हम बच्चों के जैसे कुछ कुछ लिखते हैं, पढ़ते हैं. फिर जब बड़े हो जाते हैं तो दुनियादारी देखते हैं. ये दुनियादारी है सेलिंग एंड बाइंग में. और उसके बाद में दुश्मनियाँ देखते हैं या थोड़े मूर्ख हो जाते हैं. सो सर्पेंट्स इंडिकेट some kind of enemies, hidden enemies, and goats are like, if you thrust one goat to move on a track, the others will follow it blindly without taking into because they have no passions, they don't make use of their brains. So then we got transformed. We were now interested more in the way of goats, and then we went through 3 cities where a sage had taught. We also went to a place which was known for a sage, a sadhu, an ascetic who had taught. So now everything was equal to us. In this stanza, in the second stanza, taking down the notes, which is a childish enthusiasm, taking notes of the selling and buying is about the worldliness. Then the way of the serpents and of goats is about a distraction. But in between, we tried to the last line, we also tried to focus attention upon sages, upon goodness. But as soon as the first word in a line is but, you must understand that whatever has been told prior to it, now just the opposite of it will be told. The narration has taken a shift in tone. So all that which was about the enthusiasm, even though it was like facing squarely the sun and trying to to observe the world as it existed before them, now we will shift the tone. But when the differences arose on how to cross a desert patch, we lost a friend whose stylish prose was quite the best of all our batch. So when the differences arose, now different arising of differences indicates that those people who had come on one mission, now they got divided into their ideas about the thing. So differences occurred between them. And about what? About as petty a subject as how to cross a desert patch. People who are going on a pilgrimage, if they are not equipped with the idea of how to face their world, of how to face the place that they are going to visit, if they had no idea where they were going, certainly there would be differences, and naturally differences arose, and on a petty issue as crossing a desert patch. And at that time, we lost a friend. So, if people can divide on small issues, can you still and will you still think them as friend? See, this world where we are all traveling, considering each other friends, at that moment, some kind of deviation in our intentions can cause us to lose each other. So we lost a friend whose stylish prose was quite the best of all our batch. So he used to be talking, and he must have been a very effective speaker. So he left them. A shadow falls on us and grows. So when do the shadows fall? When it is afternoon. Hardly did they start in the morning. Hardly did they see the sun beat on them, that the shadows started falling between them, on them. So the shadows started growing. Another phase was reached when we were twice attacked. So on the way, because they were fighting, when people are together, no one can attack you. But because they got divided, so they were also attacked. This is actually, I can perceive it as a beautiful journey that people used to take in the ancient times. When they went on pilgrimages, they always went in large groups. Because when you go on pilgrimage, you always carry money for some kind of adversity that might come up. And people who are robbers or who are thieves are always in wait for such people to arrive. So they were attacked and lost our way. So even in the noon, they lost their way. A section claimed its liberty to leave the group. Now claims are coming up. The word claim has got some kind of legal association. So they asked it as of right that theirs was the liberty to leave the group. I tried to pray. Full stop. Short sentence. Always, wherever in a poem there are short sentences of 2, 3, and 4 words, or even 5, they are very crisp and they contain the meaning, much meaning. So the poet says that in the face of all this difficulty falling us, I tried to pray. I tried to focus my attention upon praying. What is praying? Something that we should do when we are going on a pilgrimage. And this was a pilgrimage. So he tried to focus his attention upon prayers. Our leader said he smelt the sea. Smelling the sea means seeing a very deadly difficulty before them. So the leader already knew that with this much of fraction coming between them, there certainly is going to be some kind of larger difficulty. So in these 2 stanzas, we begin with the but, and we already know As we move through the lines, we know that some kind of difficulty is arising. Either it is a difference in opinion, or it is a voluntary division among the people, and therefore there were attacks from outside. Difficulties not only were arising among them, but difficulties arose from outside, and they also lost their way. Some people left the group, someone tried to pray, and therefore the leader could plainly see that some kind of larger difficulty is yet to arrive. We noticed nothing as we went. So the people who were taking copious notes in the uh, in the second or the first stanza, where we know that in the second stanza, where we see that people were taking copious notes. Now these people are seeing nothing as we went. A straggling crowd of little hope. This is a metaphor for the enterprising people. These people were straggling. Straggling is with much difficulty trying to keep themselves erect. The image that I showed you, the second image, a straggling crowd. Can an enterprise be equated with a crowd? एक बड़ा काम करने वाले लोग क्या भीड़ कहे जाने चाहिए? लेकिन ये लोग अब एक मिशन से जुड़े हुए नहीं हैं, इसलिए भीड़ हो गए. वही सर्पेंट्स एंड द गोट्स ऑफ लिटिल होप, और उनके बीच में आशा भी नहीं बची है. इग्नोरिंग व्हाट द थंडर मेंट. शुरू में उन्होंने इग्नोर क्या किया था? कॉल. और अब क्या इग्नोर कर रहे हैं? अब तो वो इतने लॉस्ट हो गए हैं कि ठंडा भी हो रहा है, आकाश में बादल भी गरज रहे हैं तो उनको मालूम नहीं पड़ रहा है. इग्नोर कर रहे हैं उसको. डिप्राइव्ड ऑफ कॉमन नीड्स लाइक सोप, एंड नाउ दे आर लॉस्ट लेफ्ट विद नथिंग. दे डोंट इवन हैव सोप्स. कि थंडर होगा और बारिश आएगी तो अब उसका फ़ायदा ऐसे भी उठाने के नहीं रहे कि नहा ही लें उसमें. सो दे वर डिप्राइव्ड ऑफ कॉमन नीड्स लाइक सोप. Some were broken, some merely bent. So the people who had come with erect heads, exalted people, they are now broken, they are now bent. This beautiful alliterative system shows you how completely disillusioned the people have become. When finally we reached the place, we hardly know why we were there. तो पहुंच भी गए अपनी जगह पर, लेकिन hardly knew why they were there. The trip had darkened every face. So the face had become dark because of the beating sun and because of the sinking hearts. Our deeds were neither great nor rare. So great deed is enterprise. The poet gives you a definition right at the end of the poem. Our deeds were neither great nor rare. दुखी होने की बात नहीं है. ये महान काम नहीं था तो असाधारण भी नहीं था. ऐसा सभी के साथ होता है. We all begin our missions in life with high ideals. Before I tell you the importance of the last line, I would give a very quick recap of what has gone by. The pilgrimage starts. People have exalted minds. They have left all their burdens and they did not test the call. But the sun became non-benevolent. They stood the sun. They took down notes They saw the sale and purchase and of the world, but they also saw the serpents. Then differences came. They had to cross a desert. They lost a friend. Shadows fell on them and started growing. So they were also attacked and they lost the way. Some people claimed their liberty. Some tried to pray, but the leader already could see that there was a sea. Then they became so disillusioned, they saw nothing, they felt nothing, they were deprived of all hope. They couldn't even visualize what the thunder meant. Therefore, with all these adversities, some were broken and some were bent. And when they did reach their destination, they did not know why they were there. I would now ask you to read the last line, and with the last line, come back and round up the thought with the first line. He says in the end, home is where we have to gather grace. The operative phrases here are home is where. So, what is home? Home is the place. It is a place. It is a sanctuary. Sanctuary मतलब आपका अंतिम निर्वाण, आपका अंतिम त्राण, आपका अंतिम लक्ष्य. Where we have to, हम सबको करना ही होगा. Gather grace. Alliteration again. We all have to gather grace. Grace is serenity. Grace is a balance between expectation and the result. So, where do we get it? We always get it at home. Now, I am talking to you the philosophical meaning of this poem. पहले हिंदी में, फिर अंग्रेजी में. हम जब भी कोई ज़िंदगी के लिए कोई एक बड़ा मकसद ढूंढते हैं, तो हम क्या करते हैं, घर के बाहर निकल जाते हैं और बाहर जाके कुछ ढूंढ के लाना चाहते हैं. उस बाहर निकल के ढूंढने में हमको बहुत दिक्कतें आती हैं. कुछ लोगों की मदद लेनी पड़ती है. समायोजन नहीं होता, मिल नहीं पाते, समझ नहीं पाते, हमारे में डिफरेंसेस हो जाते हैं. अंदर डिफरेंस होते ही प्रकृति भी नाराज़ हो जाती है, ऊपर से हमारे ऊपर दबाव डालती है, और फिर हम टूटे हुए जब पहुंचते भी हैं अपने लक्ष्य पे, तो उसका आनंद नहीं ले पाते. अब इसी एंटरप्राइज को आप अंदर जाके प्राप्त करने की कोशिश करें. होम, हृदय, वो जो अंदर है, वो जहाँ पर आपका आप निवास करता है, आपका स्व निवास करता है. योर सेल्फ, अ प्लेस वेर योर सेल्फ resides, a place where God has all given to us, the sanctuary. Whenever the world is difficult, go inside, seek that better self, the stronger you, and then there will be enterprise. Enterprise doesn't mean moving out and searching for things. Enterprise is moving in and searching your own self. Where if you desire, there would be no sun beating on you. If you desire, there will be no fraction between you and yourself. There will be no attack, because you are your own and the best savior. So this poem, in fact, is a philosophical interpretation of what a group has done, no, of what all of us do. We all move out and try to bring happiness and achievement from somewhere outside. The best way is to move in and bring the best from inside, and that will be the best enterprise. So, home is where we gather grace, and it should start as a pilgrimage. Look at the first line. It definitely should be a pilgrimage. What is pilgrimage? The idea not to acquire wealth, not to acquire worldly possessions, but to acquire the inside wealth, the inner you, the real you. So, this poem is also an allegory. What is an allegory? An allegory is a literary piece of work where more is meant than meets the eye. आपकी आंखें जितना देखती हैं उससे बहुत ज़्यादा होता है, and more is heard than hears the ear. आपके कान जितना सुनते हैं उससे बहुत दूर की बात होती है, उससे बहुत ऊंची बात होती है. तो जो आँखों को और कानों को समझ आए उससे बहुत ऊपर का लक्ष्य, उसके बहुत ऊपर की बात जिन अन्योक्ति में कही जाती है वो एलिगरी होती है. सो दिस पोएम कैन बी termed and must be termed as an allegory. In this, the poet has to tell you something else through this small journey that the people undertook. They started in the morning, moved in the youth of the afternoon, came back in the evening of a retarded age, only to be told that they had nothing, that they had lost, that they were broken and that they were bent. No, that should not be the way. We all are here for an enterprise. We all are here to visualize our own self, and that will be an enterprise. I hope if you try to unify the three things together, the title, the first line of the poem, and the last line of the poem, you will be in a position to give an interpretation of this beautiful poem that has got philosophical purpose to convey to you that when you are broken, do not feel broken. Take a sanctuary within. Home is where we have to gather grace. We all can go back into our homes and be comfortable. Homes are our souls. This is all for today. Thank you.